David Pastrnak, baby! This was my playoff prediction. I put it in the video. I put it in the bracket. I had the Bruins beating the Leafs in 7. And mindless to me, 2 weeks ago when we made those predictions, I did not think that the way this series would play out would be exactly the same as it was in 2013. The traumatic Toronto Maple Leafs nightmare. You go down 3-1 in the series, you win 2, gnaw back on Game 5, on Game 6, and you win to tie things up. You bring it back to Boston, and you have a lead in the third, and you blow it, you lose it in overtime. This is exactly the same! How in the world could anybody have predicted this? Thank goodness the NHL bracket does not have, predict who wins Game 1, then Game 2, then Game 3. It just says how many games. And I said Bruins in 7. Believe me, like, as a Canadian dude, I'm sitting here saying, yeah, it'd be amazing if we had a Final Four of Winnipeg and one of Edmonton or Vancouver and Toronto on the other side. If we guaranteed a Canadian team to get into the finals and maybe even win the Stanley Cup, like, I'm a Canucks fan, of course, but I'm not one of those, like, angry, super perturbed fans that really does not want to see any other Canadian team except my Canucks win the gosh darn cup. Any team from Canada, please do it. But I was like, yeah, no, the Leafs are not going to do it this year. They're not going to get past Boston. Unfortunately, the Bruins have demons from last year they are trying to exercise. They blew a 3-1 lead last year. It was embarrassing because they were one of the best regular season teams we have ever seen in history, only to completely lose it in the postseason. They almost had the same thing happen here today, but with a comeback victory, with goals scored by Hampus Lindholm and a David Pastrnak beautiful play off the boards, also assisted by Lindholm, by the way. That guy probably was the MVP of the final 20 minutes or so of Boston hockey. That's all it takes. The Boston Bruins have defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games. And look, you know, I get it. Leafs fans are going to be ticked off about this. The doom and gloom is going to set in. I'm kind of poking fun here because I recognize that this is something that's been a pattern the past little while. Like, we've seen this happen consecutively. But the odd part is, with the Toronto Maple Leafs getting eliminated, we now have ourselves some questions. And we can go big picture on y'all in this video. We can talk about, does this mean Marner gets traded? Does this mean somebody else is going to leave? What's the contract status of these guys? Like, we heard from Friedman essentially saying that if the Toronto Maple Leafs cannot get it done in this playoff series, heads will roll. Changes will be made. Okay, no, heads will roll kind of sounds like somebody's getting murdered. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, but there will be some significant changes with this team, and now that they've been eliminated, honestly, like, they had a chance to win. I mean, Matthew Nyes right off at the beginning of overtime had a chance to seal the deal. At the end of the day, overtimes can go either way, but you need to get a victor one way or another, and that's exactly how we got one here. Tight game, tight series, or do we even want to say tight series? Like, it was tight towards the middle to the end there, but at the beginning, the Boston Bruins really set the tone, which I think kind of played into our expectations here because, you know, a lot of people said that the Boston Bruins would win, even in the comments section of our playoff predictions video. Bunch of y'all were saying Boston. We had a lot of Toronto truthers, though, I will say. Like, the fan support and the developments of Toronto's roster led a lot of Leafs fans, or not even just Leafs fans, but a lot of regular hockey fans. You know, most of my fan base here on YouTube happens to be Red Wings, Canadiens, and Canucks fans, and a bunch of y'all were saying, yeah, no, I actually think the Leafs could do it this year. Like, we know the reputation, we know they end up choking in the playoffs, we know this, we know that, but kind of similar to the Tampa Bay series in 2022, I feel like the Toronto Maple Leafs just straight up didn't win. Not that they choked. I know I said they choked in the title, but they had a 1-0 lead and they blew it. But not necessarily that they absolutely crapped the bed after being in a stranglehold position to win. But more so, they just lost to a better team. That's it. Like some of these other series losses, you can say they completely lost it. They dropped the ball against Montreal. They absolutely did that against Columbus. They stunk in that 2020 bubble play-in series round. But against Tampa Bay in 2022, I was like, yeah, no, they actually played well enough to win. They just didn't win. And in 2023, they finally beat that same Tampa Bay Lightning team. This year against Boston, they gave themselves the chance to win, but ultimately it does not go through. And if we talk about this game, I mean, we can talk about the highlights, we can talk about the chances, we can talk about the scoring opportunities, we can talk about the narratives. The big story into this one was Auston Matthews' return to the lineup on May the 4th. He was wearing a Star Wars-themed outfit coming over into the rink here. And in net, you had yourselves Joseph Woll not starting in this one. It was Ilya Samsonov. Woll was out. And to the panic of many Leafs fans, Sammy was trusted with this huge responsibility. And honestly, he played all right. Like, he was good for the first 2 periods and a bit. He was going toe-to-toe with Swayman, both goaltenders forced to make saves, both teams getting some glorious opportunities. But ultimately, it's the 1-0 Auston Matthews to William Nylander goal that gets things started. It's a beautiful play where Tyler Bertuzzi takes down his guy on the boards. That really could have been called as a hook or a trip or something, but it wasn't. Bertuzzi frees the puck up, gives it to Matthews. Matthews comes right in, fakes the shot. Jeremy Swayman bites hard on the Matthews lane, but Matthews, last second, sends it over to the side, and William Nylander, Willie Styles, puts it into the open cage. That's a 1-0 lead for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And as we had seen yesterday between the game against the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators, sometimes one goal is all you need. And then the Bruins scored immediately after. It was a pretty nice shift. The puck was getting shot, the puck was bobbling, the puck ended up bouncing off the top of the net, and then just a few seconds later, it finds itself onto the stick of Hampus Lindholm at the side. He has all the time in the world, he just shoots, and it goes right in. Normally, there would have been a Leaf trying to block that lane, but nah, everybody was kind of scrambling around. It was a really difficult, just kind of situation to fully absorb, but the Maple Leafs end up succumbing this one. It's a 1-1 game, and it stays like that till the end of the 3rd period. And then in overtime, all it took was, what, a minute and a half, 2 minutes for Hampus Lindholm, the same guy who had scored the earlier goal, to have the puck at the red line. He's coming in, trying to dump it, and instead of dumping it and having the guy chase, he hard dumps it to bounce off the end boards of the corner and pop right back out in front, where a streaking David Pastrnak comes in all alone on Ilya Samsonov. He dekes to the backhand and he gets the goal. Not too much a goalie can do on that one. One-on-one with Pastrnak, yeah, good luck, baby. But ultimately, the Toronto Maple Leafs end up losing this one in 7. Unfortunate. It's a tale as old as time itself. The Toronto Maple Leafs losing to the Bruins. What else is there to be surprised about? They haven't beaten the Bruins since the gosh darn 50s. It's been an entire lifetime worth of time since the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs defeated the Bruins in a series. And as much as there were people, supporters going out there, believers, saying that they felt this was the year, I just wasn't buying it. So, yeah, I made it in my bracket. I'm happy with that. Of course, it is disappointing to see for Canadian viewers that the Toronto Maple Leafs are out. But hey, I'm kind of thinking as well, does this mean that Vancouver-Edmonton is going to get Chris Cuthbert instead of Harnarayan Singh? Oh, that actually might be best case scenario here. Dang, I don't want to toss a guy under the bridge too badly, but wow, that's a really good trade-off in my opinion, From an entertainment standpoint, I would much rather listen to Cuthbert. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Boston Bruins defeating the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Leafs choking away a 3rd period Game 7 lead one more time. While sure they did indeed choke it, it honestly didn't feel like they choked it. It just felt like a really hard-fought game that the Bruins ended up winning. But at the end of the day, a blown lead is a blown lead, and that is exactly what the Maple Leafs had here. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.